So now after our hero section, let's create our featured blocks. So for that, let's create a file in our home page. So inside the components we have our home page, and inside that let's create a new file with the name of featured blocks. So featured blocks, and here inside this file we can create RFCE to create a functional component, and for now that's fine, and let's use it in our home page. So if I go to our index page, and here after the hero section I can use that, and if I import it I should see the text, as you can see that featured blocks. So in our index file this featured block will be inside a D with a class of container. So inside this D with a class of container we will have our featured blocks. So make sure about that so that we can have this nice layout. So in our featured blocks we will have all of our featured blocks from our sanity, and for that first of all we need to actually configure our sanity. And before we configure our sanity, let's actually do one more thing. So if I come here and let's go to our project and let's go to the sanity. So in our sanity, first of all let's redeploy everything. So from our last deploy I think we changed some of our data, and for that I think we need to redeploy to be safe. So let's say that sanity deploy, so it will redeploy the sanity studio. So sanity deployed to our URL, which is fine, and after that we need to do one more thing. So we need to deploy our sanity GraphQL data layer. So for that I think we need to run sanity GraphQL deploy. So sanity GraphQL deploy, I think that's the command, and if I run this, okay, so GraphQL, you need to actually spell it right. So now it is saying that do you want to enable any kind of GraphQL playground? Let's say that yes. So now it is done, as you can see that, and if you click this, you can see this is a GraphQL playground which is from the sanity. Okay, so this is another GraphQL playground which we will not use. I think we will use this one which is coming from our Gatsby. So after that we need to actually come here in our Gatsby plugin one more time, and we need to configure our sanity. So before we do anything in our Gatsby config.js, let's actually create a separate file for our sanity config. So in our root of web directory, let's create a sanity config.js. so this is just for our use case. So sanity config.js, you can directly do it inside of your Gatsby config, but I think that's fine. So module.exports equals to, we need to say project ID. So project ID will be the process.env. So right now we do not have any kind of process.env in here, so we have only process.sample, which we need to rename this and make it only .env. So which is inside of our web folder. As you can see that inside of our web folder we have this .env now, and if I open that we will see these three variables, and here you can see that Gatsby sanity project ID, Gatsby sanity dataset, and also Gatsby post per page. So after that the thing that I want to show you is we need our project ID and dataset here. So for the dataset we already know it is production, and for the project ID we can go to our studio where we already have sanity.json, where we used not sanity.json, we have this environment variable which is inside the sanity. Make sure that you are having the, so grab the project ID that you used in the sanity.env file, and after that you need to use the same ID in your Gatsby.env file. So fine, now it is ready, and now we can get this variable in our sanity.config.js. So here process.env, and after that Gatsby sanity and project ID. So this is the first one, and copy this and let's name it dataset, and this is the Gatsby sanity dataset, and that's it. So this is the configuration that we need, and after that we can actually import this in our config file, Gatsby config, and here let's say we can actually do objects here. Whenever you wanna configure any kind of plugin, you can use this kind of syntax. So we can say now resolve Gatsby source sanity, and also we need to pass some options here. So in this case it will be the configuration, so we need to say all the sanity configuration. So this sanity config we need to actually import. Okay, we need to import it manually. So here in the top of the file, let's say that constant sanity config, sorry, this should be config, that is, this F is missing. So sanity config, which will be, we will require this. So we need to come here and grab our sanity config file. So that's it. So now it should be fine, and we need to actually reload this development server. Once it is done building, we should see it's fine. And after that, if I go to our graphical background here, and now we can see a lots of query is added here, and most of them is coming from our sanity. Something like this one: all sanity author, all sanity blog, all sanity category, all sanity featured. That's the one right now we are interested in. Let's open it. So after that we need to filter here. So if I open my filter, it will actually update the query, as you can see. So here you can see that there are two kind of ID. One is underscore ID, one is only ID. So this underscore ID is from sanity, and this ID is from the GraphQL data layer. So if I open my underscore ID, because I wanna grab a specific featured post, and for that reason if I say equal to, which is the featured items, so this is the ID that we mentioned in our sanity. So let me actually go back in our sanity studio, and in our components, when we created our manual component here, which is the featured component, that time we mentioned this ID, as you can see. So that's the specific ID that we want to grab, and after that we can say inside that we have the nodes, and inside each of node we have our each of item, and from that we need to get all of our blog posts, and from the blog post what we need. So every blog post have lots of field. So for now let's say only grab the title. So if I play this, I can see my 3 featured blog posts, title 1, 2, 3. Awesome. And also beside that we can also get the ID, and the title we already have and published it, and we need to get the categories so that we can show it. So here's the categories, and from the categories we need the title and only the slug. So let's get the slug, sorry, title and the slug.current. As I said before, the slug is not only slug, it is slug.current, because we already have 2 more property inside this slug. So for now let's copy this, and we need to actually do it in a static query. So let's create a static query here, constant data equals to use a static query which will be from our Gatsby, and we need to also add a GraphQL tag here which will be also coming from Gatsby, and we need to paste our query. And as I said, we do not need to name our query for now, and that's fine. As you can see that we are getting all the data. Now after that we can console log it, and let's see if we are having the same thing. So once we do that, let's refresh. Runtime error. So it's saying that there are something wrong with our query. So let's see in our query what is wrong. So let's close our server and reopen it so we can rerun our server, and let's see. Okay, we are having some serious issue. What we can do, we can actually if I come here in our web, let's close this studio. So if I come here in our web, okay, we have this cache file that we can actually delete, and after that let's try once again. So here it is fix the problem. So the server is now up and running, and if I refresh it should be fine. So yeah, so the problem was with the cache. So if you find similar kind of error, you can actually delete your cache file from the web. So try to delete this cache file from the web folder, which is the Gatsby cache, and you can rewrite or rerun the server. It will generate the new cache, and probably your problem will be fixed. And the thing I want to actually see, if I refresh here, and is the Gatsby feature data, as you can see, which is coming from line number 24 here. And if I open that, I can see this object where we have the nodes, and we inside the object we have the first object, which is the blocks, and after that we have our 3 blocks. Awesome. So we are having our blocks. So after that we need to get our image for our each of block. So if I come here inside the blocks here, if I come here, I can see the cover image, which is the image that we are looking for. So if I go inside that, I can see the asset, as you can see. So, and also before that we have the alt tag. This is the one that we customly defined, alt, and inside the asset we have our all the data, and the one we are looking for is the Gatsby image data. So this is the data that we need for each of our cover image. And if I apply this, I can see this is the all Gatsby image data, which is coming from the Sanity. As you can see that cdn.sanity.io, really awesome. And after that, finally we need the slug for our blog. So I think we can write it manually. What do you say? So you can say slug. Yeah, we have the slug, and inside that we have the current. And let's prettify that and play. Yeah, I can see my slug.current, and this is the slug for our blog post. So now let's add this stuff in our query. So copy this, and after the categories, let's paste it here. Awesome. So now we have our query ready. So after that, let's actually destructure all the data as we need. So constant featured posts or blocks equals to, and we need to get all the featured blocks, so which is inside the data, inside the all sanity. So it will match the structure we already know. So inside the data we have all sanity featured, and inside that we have nodes, and inside that we have all of our blocks. So that's where we need to go. So all sanity data, and inside that, all sanity featured, and inside that we have nodes. So inside the nodes we can have multiple featured blocks, and for this case we will use the first one, and after that we need to select the blocks, and that's it. So if I save, and after that if I console log these featured blocks, now I should see only the feature blocks, all the other stuff should be out. So if I refresh, I can see only the array, which is the feature blocks. Really awesome. So now we can directly use those feature blocks, and here in our this div, let's use the style, featured style. So featured blocks styles, and import that. You need to do it manually. So import. So here this should be blocks, and also let's fix this block. Okay, so here first of all let's say that an h1, let's say that featured blocks for now, and I can see my featured blocks. So this will be a section title, and this is the title that we will have in mail place. So let's actually create a component for this one. So let's go to our typography, because this is the typography kind of component, and inside that let's get a file with the name of title.js. So here we'll have many kind of title. So here let's get a functional component, and this is the title, as you can see. And here from our parent we will have the children, so destructure those, and also we'll have the tag, and also rest of the props. Awesome. And now what we can do, we can say that we will pass the children here, and here we can actually add our style. So section title style, and import that. So that's where we have all the styles. So after that we need to pass this tag as attribute. So tag, I already said what this tag will do. It will actually render this tag as we mentioned here. So fine, and rest of the props we need to spread it out here inside this curly brackets. So fine, now we have our title ready, and here instead of export default this title, what we can do is we can export this function. So we are exporting this title function, and now we can actually get this. Instead of this function we can use export constant and make it a arrow function, as you can see. So this is looking much better, I think. Now we can use this title in our featured block. Here instead of a h1 I can say title, and we can see the title. Awesome. So after that we will have some paragraph text. So let's actually do that. So after this one here, let's say that paragraph text, and let's import that and paste some text. I can see some text. Awesome. And after that we'll have our blog post, featured blog post after that here. So for that we will have a separate grid, because this is the same grid that we will use in many places in the project. So let's get a new component folder. So inside the components folder, let's get a new folder with the name of blogs. So inside that we will have our blog grid.js. So this is the grid that we will have here. So here in this grid, first of all rfce, so to create a functional component here, and here we will have all the blocks from the parents component, and only thing that we will do is first of all we will add the style here. So blog grid styles, and import that. So fine, and after that inside these styles we will have all of our blocks. So we will map through each of blocks. So first of all we will check if we have the blocks. So if we have blocks, in this case we will map through each of blocks. So blocks.map, and for each of our blog we will return, let's say that an h1, and let's say that blog.title will be here. and if I save, now it is not it will not do anything because we are not using it. So let's use it. So block grid and import that, and we need to pass our blocks. And if I save, we are not having blocks, so we are having feature blocks. So now if I save that, I can see 3 title here, which is a good sign. And now if I come here, instead of having this h1, now we can create or we can render a component. So now let's also create another file in our blocks folder, which will be the blog item.js. Not HS, it should be JS. So fine. So now in this item, let's create a functional component, and we will get the blog, and from that let's destructure the title of the blog. And for now, let's say that this title will be here. And if I save and come here in our block grid, instead of having this h1 here, we will actually render our blog item that we created a moment ago. So inside this blog item, so first of all, let's make it. So inside this blog item, we need to actually pass our title, right? So title will be the blog.title. And if I save that, now I can see the title, which is in a div tag. That's why they are smaller. So in our block grid, beside this title, we also need to pass some other stuff. So we need to pass the path here. So path will be blog.slug.current, and after that we need to pass categories. So categories will be, so we need to say blog.categories, and also image. So image will be, so for the image we queried this stuff, so we need to pass this. So we will not pass this directly. What we will pass is, we will pass this object where we will say image data will be the blog.coverimage.asset.gatsby image data. Yeah, if I save that, so as you can see that this is blog.coverimage.asset.gatsby image data. So this is coming from here. So blocks is started from here because we already destructured all thing here. So blocks.coverimage.asset.gatsby image data. So that's the one we are actually grabbing. So after that we need to grab the alt text. So alt text, so for that we need to do blog.coverimage.alt, and that's it. So that's our image, and after that we need to pass published at. So published at will be the blog.published at. So that's it. So we are now passing all that stuff, and in our blog item now we can use those. So in our blog item, let's delete this div. Instead of that, let's add the style. So blog item styles, and we need to import that. So import. So from the blog item styles, grab the styles, and we are using it. So let's structure this. So inside this item we will have a link. So this will be a link here. So this is a Gatsby link, so we need to pass our 2. So the 2 will be, so we need to go to our blocks. Inside the blocks we will have our path. So this path will be, let me show you. So there will be path which we will get from our parent component. So if I save that, and let's also get the link from the Gatsby, and if I hover, it is not showing anything because we are not passing any kind of children here. So let's say that hello. Okay, So I should see hello, 3 hello, and if you hover one of them, in the bottom you can see that the URL is our domain / blogs / the path, right? So that's what we actually specified. So after the domain there will be blocks, and after that we will actually have the slug of our current blog item. And instead of hello, I will have the whole item here. So first of all, it will be Gatsby image. So inside the Gatsby image, we need to pass our image. So here this will accept our image data. So for that we need to come here and grab our image. So image, and here if you remember, we are actually passing an object where we have this image data and the alt text. So that's what we need to actually grab. So image dot image data, and we need to grab our Gatsby image and image data right here. So if I save that, we should see our image. Awesome, very awesome. And after that, let's also pass the alt text. So alt will be also from the image dot alt text, and beside that we can use a class name for our styling, which is the img. Great, as you can see that now we are having this style. Fine. So after this link we can now go to our another link. So this will be same thing. So we can actually grab the first one and paste it here, and let's also add the closing link here. So this link will have the same path, but the content will be the title. So inside this we will have our title, and for now let's have h1, and here let's say that blog, sorry, not blog, this will be on the title. So if I do, I can see h1 with the title. So now let's come here in our title. Here we already have a title. So this title is our section title. So let's actually rename this. Instead of title, let's name it section title, and we need to change it also in our featured blocks. So if I come here in our featured blocks, here it is. Instead of title, now we can rename this. You can use F12 as F2, I think, not F12, so F2, and here you can actually rename it, and it will be changed in all instance of the same page. So let's say that instead of title, it will be the section title, and we will not do that. We will only grab the section title. So section title from the title, and here as you can see that it is already changed, it is section title. So now section title is here. So now for our regular title, export, or we can actually duplicate this and paste it here. So instead of section title, let's name it title. So this will be our regular title. Here we'll have the same thing, but we will have the different kind of a style. So this will be only title style that we want to get from the same file. So here we just can say title styles. So that's it. So now we have another component that we can use, which is the regular title. So in our block item, that's what we will use instead of this h1. So title, and if I import that, awesome, as you can see. So that's really nice. And after that, let's create the published at. So after the link, we will check for the published at. So we need to actually get it first of all from the parent published at, and if this is available, in this case what we will do is we will return this paragraph text. So paragraph text, and inside this paragraph text we will actually first of all we need to format this text, sorry, this date. So format, this is coming from datefns. As I said already, I already installed these in the Gatsby as well, Gatsby project as well. So format from the datefns, and inside this format you need to pass a new date object where you need to pass the publish date and also specify the format. So I will use this format. So you can actually go to their documentation for the format. So and then there you will see a lots of formatting stuff, how you can format your date. So I think this is fine. As you can see that this is looking very nice, and in this one specifically we need some class name, not some, only one. So here for the class name it will be published at. So after that let's show the category. So for that we need to create a paragraph text. So we already imported that. So inside this one we need to actually map through all of the categories. So categories, I think we need to get the categories first of all. Categories, okay. So let me check. Yeah, that's the name. So categories, and here we need to map all of the categories. So inside the categories we need to actually we can say for each of our item, and also the index we need to return. So we need to return a span, and inside the span for the key we can use item slug dot current, and inside that we will have the link, and this will have a 2. So this link will be for our category. So we need to say inside the backticks. So for the categories, first of all we need to go to, after the domain there will be categories or categories, and after that we need to have the specific category slug. So it will be item dot slug dot current, and if I save, we are not having any kind of text for this one, so let's do that here. So for the text I will use the name or the title of the category. So I can say item dot title. So I think I have a, no, I use the item. Fine, let's see if we have anything. So title, and okay, so fine. As you can see that we are having all the categories, as you can see. So this one and this one. So if you see in the bottom, the URL is actually our domain / categories, and after that we have the single category slug, which is the development in this case. Okay, fine. So after that we need to actually separate them. Right now as you can see that they are beside each other, so we need to separate them with a comma and a space. So for that come here and say that we need to check our index first of all, because we do not want to do the comma and a space for the last one. We need to do it for the rest of that. So first of all we need to check the index. So if our index is categories.length -1, so if our index is less than that, we need to add comma space. Other than, we will not do anything. So as you can see that now we are having this comma and space. Awesome. So, and also we need to add a class here so that we can have nice style. So in our paragraph text, let's add a class name and name it categories text, and if I save, awesomely done, as you can see. So also we are missing some key here in a, where it is, in our block grid. Okay, okay, we are not passing any kind of key. So the reason we actually we queried this ID is for the key, so we are not passing the key, so that's bad thing. So we need to pass the key like that. So if I refresh, let's see. Okay, key block, sorry, block.id, what I'm doing, block.id, so that's my bad. So let's do one more time and let's see. So no error, as you can see that. Awesome. Okay, and as you can see, that's what I am talking about. So page data is not found because right now we do not have those pages, but we will do it in a moment. So let's see. If I go to in our large device, as you can see that this is the feature blocks, and I can see there are some problem already. So let's fix that. So in our blocks, in our feature blocks, I can see this is the paragraph text. I believe in this paragraph text I need a styling. So here in our paragraph text, let's actually add a class name. The class name will be the featured blocks text, and if I save that, I can see it is fixed now. So awesome, it is looking good in the large device, and also it is looking good in a small device. Really nice. So I think that's it for the feature blocks. I will see you in the next video.